Alrighty guys, let's get started. I'm going to go through just a quick checklist of the tools that I use regularly for mechanic, you know, you know, as a do-it-yourselfer, which I am. I'm not a professional at any means. I've been doing it a while, so I do have a lot of different tools. I've done a lot of different jobs, but I'm by no means a professional mechanic. So I'm just going to go through the stuff that I use, why I have those tools, and we'll just go from there. And action. All right, so let's talk about tool chests. I've got a Husky tool chest that I use here. I think I got it on sale over, like the Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Christmas season. Got it at Home Depot. I think I paid $150, $180 for it. It's been a pretty cool little chest. I had one that I've got out in my shop that I just had slammed full of tools, and the drawers were messing up. Having a tool chest just slammed full of tools is almost as good as just not having a tool chest because you can't find anything. So I actually separated it out. This tool chest, top to bottom, has the stuff that I use every day, but it's only metric. So everything out in my chest out in the shed is only standard. I don't have as much standard. Just about any car nowadays uses metric, Torx, as well as hex style bolts. So I really just haven't used a lot of standard stuff. So let's go through kind of stuff I will use. I love having this long little snap-on flathead screwdriver. I've used it. I've had it probably 2 years. Another thing I got at the pawn shop. A lot of the tools that you'll see in my tool chest here today, especially air tools, are from some kind of a pawn shop, just because I don't need to buy new stuff. I'm not real picky. As long as it works, I really don't care. And you can see I got a lot of different brands, Snap-on, Duralast, all kinds of different brands. Up here on the top, these are all non-ratcheting, just metric wrenches, anywhere from like 8, 10 mil up to about 20. Here's some shorter ones, little set that I use. These are really nice to have. Just kind of like a box wrench. I've got a set of these, nice to have as well. These are little quick disconnects, great for fuel lines, water lines, stuff like that. Some tape. This is a little cutter, a little pipe cutter. Really nice thing to have. Having a couple of these at different sizes is great. And some picks. I've got large and small picks. I've got a bunch more picks out in the shop. And then I've just got a little Duralast 1/4 inch set. I've had this set for probably 5-6 years. It's been a great little kit. It's got metric and standard sizes all the way up to 12 millimeter, and then 1/2 inch. Short and deep socket, as was a little kit over here. And this is a little bit longer 1/4 inch ratchet. That's really nice. It's actually very strong. I think I paid like $40 or $50 when I bought it, but it's been worth every penny. Done a lot of work with that kit. Some specialty tools, like this is a Pitman arm puller. Again, that's like an OEM brand. Here's like a little ball joint type, or a joint press, cotter pins, more box wrenches, stuff like that. Let's go here to the top drawer. This is probably one of the most important drawers, and I don't know if a lot of people think that these particular types of tools are important, but if you're going to do any work on any foreign or domestic car, you're going to need Torx as well as hex head style. I guess these are more or less, they're not really sockets, but you're going to need these tools. They're really nice to have. Most of these are in 3/8 drive. Some of them are in 1/2 inch. I don't think I have any in this drawer that are 1/2 inch, but they're all 3/8. So really nice to have, mixture of good set of Torx. I'll probably end up buying more. Especially the little ones, the heads can get beat up a little bit, especially if you're trying to get something out that's really tight. This is for like stripped lug nuts. These are one of those, you know, get anything off kind of multi-star head, you know, for Torx and regular sockets. I've used these a little bit. They're pretty nice to have, especially if something's a little rounded, or you know, these are great to use. All right, so here's the 1/4 inch drive bin. You know, this is a supplement to what I already have up here in this case. So I have short, you know, I have some stubbies in 1/4 inch. This is a great little set to have. This is a metric set, you know, a little torque wrench. And then here's a little deep socket set that I use. Really nice to have these as well. Great little set. Actually, one last thing is this little adapter. I love these little adapters for drills. Can make getting off little body panel pieces, anything that you need to use. These are great adapters. 3/8 drive, short shaft, deep. You know, here I've got, these are like the 8-point, or maybe these are like 16-point, and these are 8. You know, so there's definitely, no, these are just 6. These are 6-point. So yeah, there's different uses for each. I won't use these very often. It's just personal preference. Just because I feel like these actually get a little bit better grip on the socket, or on the nut, you know, that you're trying to get off. Here's some flex head. I think these are gear wrench. They're not my favorite. I really prefer the ones with the ball joint in the middle. It allows much better rotation, but these do work, and they are nice to have in special scenarios where you need a wobble joint to get in somewhere that's a tight fit. Let's talk about pliers and cutters. Out of all these tools, the things I use the most common are a good set of cutters, multiple sizes of pliers. I think these Irwins are probably some of my favorites. You know, these are just like Nipix, or you know, those really nice. Of course, they're not the same quality and feel, but they are pretty good. I think I actually had a bigger one of these. My dad actually stole from me, but that's okay. This little DeWalt adjustable wrench. This thing, I will use it for all kinds of stuff, especially to hold down a nut that's on the other end of a bolt if I'm using it for an impact gun. A lot of these wrenches they work just fine, but it's really nice just to be able to grab the adjustable wrench, throw it on the back end of a big long bolt, and hold on while you rip it off with the impact gun. So that's really nice to have. One of my other favorite pairs of pliers are this angled pair of pliers. These are probably one of my favorites. I actually broke the tips off, but that's okay. I'll get another set. It's nice to have like a non-ratcheting 1/2 inch drive breaker bar. You never know when you're going to need one of those. And let's talk about probably my favorite set of tools in the tool chest are the ratcheting wrenches. These are all gear wrenches. That's all I'll buy. There's a lot of other companies that make ratcheting wrenches. Some of them are cheap, like as far as quality. Some are really nice, but gear wrench is a great mix. Seems to be a great mix of price and quality, as well as a good warranty. I'm not repping these, I'm just saying that I personally will use these. And this XL kit from 19 all the way down to 10 is probably my favorite kit. A lot of these other ones, it's nice to have a duplicate so that if you need to have one on either side, like a big long bolt, you can get one on the head, one on the nut, and then just you can go to town working it either way. It's really nice to use it for that if you want to, but that's just, you know, that's kind of extra. You don't have to have extras. It is nice to have a set of ratcheting and then a set of non-ratcheting. Let's talk about impact grade. These are probably the most important as far as use. I will use these more than just about any other tool, just because you use impact grade stuff for getting off large bolts, getting off tires. I've got a little tire adapter here, 1921 millimeter. I've got another one over here. Little extensions, bigger extensions, wobble joints. I've beaten these up over the years. They still work perfect. A lot of this stuff is Duralast. I've got some Matco. I've got some Sunex, or there's some other brands here. And then I've got some other brands as far as you know, axle nut. These bigger sockets here. So these are really nice to have. You know, axle nuts. You know, I just pulled a pitman arm off. There's a bunch of other reasons that, you know, having these are really nice, but it's not a necessity. Like if you're, you know, a new guy starting out, don't go buy a bunch of really big axle nut sockets just because you're probably not going to use them as often as, say, you would a good set of short and deep sockets up to 22, 23 millimeters. All right, I've got some more ratcheting wrenches. Here's some double ends. You know, this is like an 8 and 10 mil, 14, 16, 15, 17, stuff like that. I used to use this set all the time. I don't use them as much anymore. There's still a good set of wrenches, just haven't done it so much. This is like a jumbo size of gear wrenches for like 20 up to 24 millimeter. Here's a little ball joint splitter. You know, this is really good for suspension style work and stuff, but you don't always need to use it. I mean, it is nice to have once in a while. It just requires a lot of beating sometimes, and that's not necessarily a way to do things. There are other ways to get suspension parts out, but that does work, especially if you're going to take everything out. If you're trying to save a ball joint, do not use this tool, because it will destroy the rubber, destroy the metal. You're having to beat on this pretty hard with that end of the hammer, and I've already crushed that end. I've got a couple of different ratchets in here. You know, this is a gear wrench where the head can rotate. I like this tool, but if you get your finger in there and it shuts, you know, it does it the wrong way, that really hurts. I've been pinched a couple times. Here's like an extended 3/8 drive ratchet, like a flexible pry bar. This one's actually kind of nice to have because you can change, you know, rotate this head up here. Bigger pry bars. I've got some real big ones that are just not in here. This is, I've used this adjustable wrench several times. It's great to have, like on anytime you're trying to pull off a like a physical or a cut. So this wrench here, this adjustable wrench, I've used this several times on getting off mechanical fans off of the water pump pulleys. Those fans, the actual nuts that screw on are just huge, and these are this size of a adjustable wrench is the only one that can actually get that off. So it's nice to have a real big one of those. Don't spend a fortune, but if you can find one for a good price, pick it up. It's nice to have. I've just got some, I've got a 3/4 drive impact gun with an adapter on it. You don't really need a 3/4 inch set of impact grade sockets. The 1/2 inch are just as good. I've yet to break one, and I just use this adapter. Another 1/2 inch impact gun. All these tools that you see right here, including this 1/2 inch Ryobi impact gun, I bought at the pawn shop. I think I paid like 30 bucks. I think I paid 12 or 15 for the impact gun. I don't think I paid any more than $10 for this air chisel, and this thing is a monster. I've got an Ingersoll Rand that is not even as strong as this air chisel. So whatever you're going to do, this thing will chip away steel and all kinds of stuff. It's just, especially if you got really good air pressure, about over 150 pounds. This is really good. My trusty hammer. I think it's like a 2-pound. Having a 3-pound for suspension work, stuff like that, is really nice to have. So I do wish I had the same length handle, but just a little bit bigger hammer. I think the one I had got lost or something happened. This is a little air wrench. Nice to have. It's loud as all get out. Uses a lot of air. I really wish I had a battery operated one of these. Just haven't spent the money on that. This is one of the older models of Ryobi's. I use it in conjunction with a big 3 amp hour battery. Gives a lot more power, and I mean, it's just, there's not much I can't do with it. And if anything, the only bad thing is you don't want to use on these battery operated guns is for continuous use. If you just hold down the trigger and whatever you're trying to get off comes off quickly, then they're fine. But if you got to hold it down and keep ripping it, then you can burn these motors up. Even the brushless ones, you don't want to beat on them. The brushless are more durable. This is just a standard one, but it's been great, especially if I got to do stuff out in the yard. It's just a fantastic tool to have. Let's talk about lights. So I've got a couple of different lights that I'll use. I've got this one that's just battery operated. 3 different settings, one on the tip. I've had this thing forever. Still works perfect. And don't buy anything that doesn't have a magnet on it. If it doesn't have a magnet anywhere, don't waste your money. So there's a magnet on the front and on the back. This is a little rechargeable light. I love rechargeables if I can get them. If they only last a year, it's still worth it because it's way better than all the batteries that you would throw in them, which can be, to be honest, if you're throwing batteries every week, you're going to spend $100 a year on batteries. So spend the money, get a rechargeable light. I think I spent a whopping 15-20 bucks on this thing. Here's another little rechargeable light that I use. You can find these anywhere. They're great little lights, little shop lights. And they're super bright. Really light the place up. I like having a lot of light, especially if I'm working, here in the garage. You got to be able to see what you're looking at. Another thing I like to have is a couple of floor jacks. This is just one from Harbor Freight. It's a low profile. I think it's like a 19 7/8 as far as the height. So it's a little bit taller than a lot of them. Most of them around 17, 18 inches. If you can spend an extra 10, 20 bucks, get something that goes up higher. It is very nice, especially if you're doing anything with a truck, anything like that, anything lifted. It's really nice to have that taller pump. Let's talk about air compressors. I've had a lot of different air compressors over the years. I've had the little twin cylinder, all-in-one air compressors, and I have just burned those things up. I've had some that were still that same style, but they were low capacity. They just don't have the pressure ratings and the capacity to actually feed those, like an air chisel or even a really big impact gun. You might get a couple seconds of high pressure air, but after that, you're below 100 pounds and you just don't have the pressure there that you need to actually get the job done. So this is a 30-gallon DeWalt. I think it's like a 2 horsepower motor. The motor's over there on the right, the compressor's on the left. It's belt driven. That thing can run continuous use for quite some time without even bothering it. They just don't get hot. It was well worth the money. I got it on sale, and I've been super pleased with it. It doesn't lose any pressure, and it pumps up to right at about 155 psi. Alright guys, so before we go, I want to talk about safety equipment, and that includes like gloves. See, my hands are already dirty just from touching tools. It's nice to have gloves. I get stuff, shop gloves or whatever we throw away. I do have some nice like mechanics or leather or synthetic gloves that you can buy at the big box store. But I don't use those as often, just because if you're working with a lot of grease, then you just don't want to get those gloves disgusting. It's better just use the rubber throwaway gloves, whatever fits. Buy those. When they get nasty, throw them in the trash. Let's talk about eyeglasses. Eyeglasses are really nice to have. Safety glasses, especially if you're up under a vehicle, you tap something, you can get dust, debris, sand in your eyes. I've got some pretty nasty styes in my eyes because of getting trash in them. So it's definitely worth it to have safety glasses around. Talk about jack stands. Having good quality, 3-ton or more or higher rated jack stands, super important. You don't ever want to use blocks, like cinder blocks, concrete blocks, wood, who knows what else. There's all kinds of other things that people will do to work on cars to get underneath them. Don't risk it. Get some good jack stands, good floor jacks, and then put jack stands everywhere, on support, load rated points under your vehicle. So, you always want to be safe. That's always a key point. All right, guys, so that wraps up today's episode on do-it-yourself tools. I've gone over some, things that I use every day, as well as some safety equipment. So if you like this channel, subscribe, give me a like down below, give me a comment. Tell me what you want to see. There's a lot of different things I do every day. It's not just mechanic stuff. I do computers. I do video editing. I'm into a lot of different things. Play airsoft. Used to play some paintball. Working on cars, fishing. There's all kinds of different things. Tell me what you guys want to see. I'm going to try to get content out to you every day. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.